I am glad to be here today to talk about children versus adults in second language learning. 1. Children are better, a common belief. A. Psychological. At this point, we have to consider intellectual processing, memory, motor skills, motivation, and attitude. B. Social. At this point, we can find the types of situations, settings, and interactions. The natural situation, family, play, workplace, in contrast to the classroom situation, will be focused on. C. Theories on the second language acquisition. During childhood, language learning is very easy. Our brains are ready for language learning. As we getting older, people lose childhood ability. Lenenberg, 1964. The attainment of a second language is constrained by the age at which learning begins. Birdsong and Mollis, 2001. Acquisition of a normal language is guaranteed for children up to the age of 6, is steadily compromised from then shortly after puberty and is rare thereafter. Pinker, 1994. 2. Basic psychological factors affecting second language learning. A. Intellectual processing. Explication and induction. There are only two processes by which one can learn the syntax of a second language. Explication. What is explication? It is the process whereby the rules and structures of a second language are explained to learner. While language cannot be learned completely by explication, while parts of a second language can be learned by explication, it is impossible for it to be learned entirely by explication. This is because not all of the rules of any one language have been discovered and written down. Induction. Learning rules by self-discovery is the essence of the process of induction. The child who is exposed to second language speech and remembers what he or she has heard will be able to analyze and discover the generalization or rule that underlies that speech. The second language learner is always trying to figure out language by induction. B. Memory. Vocabulary learning and rote memory. Memory is crucial to learning. The learning of the simplest word requires memory. The greater the number of related occurrences needed for learning, the poorer a person's memory. Syntax learning and episodic memory. It is only through memory that a learner can accumulate the vast amount of speech and relevant situational data that serves as the basis for analyzing structures and formulating rules. Episodic memory is the memory of everyday events that can be explicitly stated or conjured. It is the collection of past personal experiences that occurred at particular times and places. Children's memory ability. Children under 7 years old versus older children at rote memorizations. C. Motor skills. Motor skills is a term that psychologists use to describe the use of muscles in performing certain skills, from general ones like walking to fine ones like writing and speech. Articulators of speech. The creation of speech sounds is related to the ability to control the muscles that manipulate the organs of speech. The articulators of speech have to do the right thing at the right time. Decline in general motor skills. To be able to attain a high level of proficiency in a motor skill, such as skating, we should start young. Decline in ability for new articulations. Children will do much better in the pronunciation of a second language than adults. 3. Social situations affecting second language learning. Basically, we can cover the most important of them according to 3 categories: the natural, the classroom, and community context. The natural situation in which a second language is learned is one that is similar to that in which the first language is learned. It can involve social situations such as those involving family, play, or the workplace. The classroom situation involves the social situation of the school classroom. The community context allows students to have access to a natural situation outside of the class and thereby supplement their classroom learning. Who is better? Children or adults? In a natural situation, older children would do better than adults because they are medium-o natural situation and medium-high on both memory and motor skills. The natural situation is more favorable to children because adults generally undergo a marked decline in the quality and quantity of the social interaction conducive to good language learning. Psychologically, while both children and adults have optimal powers of induction, and are able to induce the grammar of a second language more or less equally well, nonetheless, it will be easier for children to learn syntax than it will be for adults. In the classroom situation, adults will do better than young children, because not only are they better in explicative processing but, simply put, they know how to be students. They have sufficient maturity to meet the rigors of a formal learning environment, where concentration, attention, and even the ability to sit still for a long time all play a role in learning. Older learners have cognitive experience lacking in small children, and, thus, can be better learners. Matsui, 2000, found out that experience with the native language helps adults even to achieve near-native level of pronunciation if given explicit instruction. In a classroom-based study comparing junior high school students with elementary school students, the older students scored higher on all tests. Because the older child's memory and motor skills are better than the adult's, the advantage in explicative processing enjoyed by the adult may not be sufficient to overcome the disadvantages experienced in these areas. 4. A critical age for second language learning. Age of acquisition. The relationship between a learner's age and success in second language acquisition is the subject of much lively debate. According to the critical period hypothesis, there is an age-related point on which current researchers diverge, but it is usually within the puberty period, beyond which it becomes difficult or impossible to attain a native speaking-like competence. Second language, L2. Learners who begin learning early in life and stay exposed to information and so learn across several years or decades, unquestionably outperform later learners in the long run and in immersion environments. This overall age impact is sometimes used as evidence for a so-called critical period, CP, for second language acquisition, despite the fact that it is misunderstood as an argument in favor of early foreign language training, which occurs in quite different circumstances, SLA. The critical period hypothesis states that the first few years of life is the crucial time in which an individual can acquire a first language if presented with adequate stimuli, and that first language acquisition relies on neuroplasticity. If language input does not occur until after this time, the individual will never achieve a full command of language. So, there is much debate over the timing of the critical period with respect to SLA, second language acquisition, with estimates ranging between 2 and 13 years of age. There is much debate over the timing of the critical period with respect to SLA, with estimates ranging between 2 and 13 years of age. However, some studies have shown that even very young L2 beginners diverge at the level of fine linguistic detail from native speakers. Singleton, 2001. Thank you for your attention. See ya!